I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Here.
Councilmember Lasky. Mayor Sullivan.
Here.
Councilmember Keck.
Here.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Here.
Councilmember Ruzga.
Here.
City Manager.
Here.
City Assessor. Here. DPW Director.
Here.
Finance Director.
Here.
Community Development Director.
Here.
Police Chief.
Here.
Fire Chief.
Here.
City Engineer.
Here.
Roll call complete.
Thank you. Disclosure of conflict of interest. Any council member with a conflict of interest regarding an agenda item should disclose at this time. Ready? Public hearing on the 2026-2027 Budget and Capital Improvement Plan. The city's fiscal year runs from July 1st through June 30th under Section 7-4 of the Charter. A public hearing is required on the budget, which must be adopted no later than May 15th of each year. A study session was held on Tuesday, April 14th, and a budget discussion is on the agenda for later this evening. An optional budget study could be added on April 28th. The budget calendar anticipates adoption of the budget at Wednesday, May 6, 2026 meeting. At this time, council has an opportunity to comment on the 2026-2027 budget and capital improvement plan. Anybody? Is there any public comment?
Good evening, Council. Doug Dominic, 920 Engelman Street. I want to start by asking a simple question and try to answer it. Why are we all here? You are here because you asked us, the residents, to put you there. You asked us, the residents, to represent us. Not your opinion, not your feelings. Our opinion and our feelings. When we contact the council or the mayor, we expect responses from the council or the mayor. If we bring concerns to you, it's because we're concerned the administration may not be doing the job we request. It's your job to make sure they do. When we ask you questions, we expect you to become educated and answer those questions, not defer to the city manager for his opinion. We don't care what his opinion is. We care what our opinion is. You should care what our opinion is. Let's look at this budget. No, one more step. Madam Mayor, per Charter Section 2-4, you are the executive head of the city, not the city manager. You are his boss. When we ask you questions, we don't expect answers from him. I contacted you regarding issue in the past. Turns out my issue with the manager turned out to be a typo. Typed the wrong email address. Contacted the mayor asking for assistance. What I got instead was being chastised. I was told I was not friendly enough to communicate with the mayor. That is not an appropriate response. She stated we're all working towards the same goal. And when I look at this budget, no, we're not. A wise man once told me, budgets are fruit salad. Every year you get more fruit salad. What you don't realize is every year you're getting more grapes and less cherries. Still fruit salad. The chief of the fire department has been in Manistee for 3 years. The manager has been in Manistee for 4 years. Less time than I have been retired from the fire department. What this creates, lost my place. Is historic amnesia. They do not know what this town has been through in the past. There's this big white paper plan for fixing fire and EMS services in the county. What they don't seem to realize, you should realize, is this city has spent tens of thousands of dollars over many, many years conducting surveys, hiring people to come in and do proposals to figure out what is our level of service and where can we go. All of that gets ignored. And we again start all over. And here we are, starting all over again. What I find ironic, page 15 of the budget shows that the manager asked you questions in a survey to find out what your priorities are for the budget. We don't care what your priorities are. It's our priorities that matter. You should have asked us what those priorities are. Let's take it to the next step. So you guys gave your priorities. What was the number one priority? Services. You wanted to continue distribution of services to the residents. What's the first cut? The fire department. Providing one of the most important services to this community. The fire department has a responsibility to keep you alive when you're dying. And yet, you're going to cut the fire department by one member. And then, we use a fancy term. Let's use the word attrition in the budget. We're reducing the fire department staff through attrition. Well, that's a convenient term. It has many meanings. The term I'm sure administration wants you to use, let's go to Merriam-Webster. A reduction in numbers as of employees or participants, usually as a result of resignation, retirement, or death.
That's 5 minutes.
5 minutes is up, Mr. Dominic. Thank you.
I'll be back for the other.
Thank you.
My name is John Helge. I live at 450 Cedar Street here in Manistee. I also have questions about the budget, specifically about the fire department, specifically about the EMS service. As we all know, our current situation with our hospital here in Manistee is sending people via ambulance to either Traverse City or to Cadillac. And that puts ambulances off the street in Manistee that should be there to support the needs of the residents. If we reduce the manpower that are manning our ambulance by the fire department, we will lose that continuity, we'll lose that opportunity. Will it have an immediate effect? Probably not. Probably not. We're going to be able to get by the skin of our teeth. But I think you're cutting off your nose to spite your face in this case. I think that you need to look at this, look for somewhere else to cut, because that EMS professional is absolutely needed in this community. We need to have reliable ambulance service in the city of Manistee. We are paying for that with our taxes. Your challenge is to find somewhere else to cut. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Rebecca Amadon. I live at 160 South Claybank Road in Manistee. I'm running for the Michigan State Senate here in District 32. In regards to the budget decisions being made here this evening, I'm asking that we put public safety above all else. I understand that we have to have a balanced budget and that there are cuts that may need to be made. However, cutting a first responder is a public safety risk with real consequences. Over the past decade, our fire department's run volume has increased by nearly 40%, with more medical emergencies, more fires, more accidents, and more people depending on rapid, effective response. The choice to reduce staffing will increase response times and place both the public and first responders in greater danger. This isn't about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about lives. Cutting positions in the face of rising demand compromises safety, weakens emergency response, and ultimately costs more in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead. Do you have-
Regarding the budget, I would like to see the planning go to the tree commission to remove the over mature trees between Century Terrace and Harbor View and paving that lot. They took care of the old trees that were dying over there on the west side of Harbor View. Now they need to continue, get those apparently invasive species, the black locust, out of there and prep that lot for paving. I think the city still owns that property. They don't own the buildings anymore. There was some kind of a fancy deal that some outside organization owns the buildings, but they still own the property that they're on. So I'd like to see that as part of the budget. As far as, you know, you got to plan ahead, and we got behind. Nobody could do anything about the trees for last year, so you need to prep the thing. You can't cut those trees down with people parking there, and it's just a muddy mess. And the people are walking through the parking lot, smoking cigarettes, and walking back into the building. And there needs to be some kind of a pavement down to Century Terrace there. The plans for the Spicer Group, it came up with like a $2 million project to put in a semi-river walk down there. And whether that gets done in our lifetime or not needs to be planned out ahead. And if you go down there and start putting Riverwalk in, and you don't go to the Corps of Engineers, you're gonna own that riverfront. And it's gonna cost a lot more than $2 million. That's all I have to say on the budget here.
Thank you.
Sir, could you please state your name for the record?
Dave Melke,
Dave Milkey, thank you.
273 6th Avenue.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public hearing? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Citizens' comment on agenda-related items. Any citizen with correspondence to be distributed to City Council should provide items to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting or after the meeting has adjourned, limited to 5 minutes.
You know who I am, let me continue on. So, attrition, reduction of numbers as of employees or participants usually a result of resignation, retirement, or death. That's not what happened. Let's use the second definition as it's much more accurate. The act of weakening or exhausting by constant harassment, abuse, or attack. That's what's happening at the fire department. You're gonna reduce the fire department budget by $105,000. The DPW by $2,500. Planning by $10,000, economic development by $10,000. The fire department reduction is a huge safety concern based on fatigue. You don't have enough employees to cover absences, which is going to create increased overtime and increased stress. The manager and the fire chief have no idea of the stress of a paramedic. We are on an island. Doctors have the lab, radiology, to help them with their assessments. We have protocols. All of the departments in the city have seen an increase. Where's the equity? The fire department is the highest revenue earner of all departments, budgeted at $300,000. You want to fix the shortfall in the fire department? Give them back the money they make instead of distributing it throughout the city. Your budget says the fire department should spend $1.36 million. The chief's white paper says we need to spend $1.5 million as residents. Why the discrepancy? You're expecting the townships to come up with $1.9 million. I'm wondering why we need to participate in this new plan, just to put the $300,000 of income back into the fire department. Quit trying to rob Peter to pay Paul. One of the current budget shortfalls is due to rising health insurance and MERS payments. Health insurance is fixed. You're fixed by state law. MERS is the city's own doing. Before the city had MERS, the city misappropriated funding to the retirement plan. They failed to put in their obligation due to the stock market. So the stock market made a whole bunch of money and the pension plan got rich. So instead of depositing into the plan, the city spent the money elsewhere. Then the market crashes. And now you are where you are now. You're trying to pay bills you don't have money for. You're not even paying what MERS asked for. You're paying the minimum contribution MERS is asking for. They want you to pay more. That's all I have on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for citizen comments? Okay, consent agenda. All items marked with an asterisk are considered by a city manager to be routine matters. Prior to approval, any member of council may have an item removed and taken up during the regular portion of the meeting. Items include approval of minutes, payroll, invoices, consideration of zoning ordinance Z26-01 to amend the Manistee City zoning ordinance, consideration of the United States Veterans Council 2026 Memorial Day Parade, consideration of the 2026 Kids Safety Day, consideration of amending the approved 2026 Manistee National Forest Festival special event, consideration of organizing the Ramsdale Regional Center for the Arts as a nonprofit organization for the purpose of obtaining a charitable gaming license. At this time, council would take action to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of zoning ordinance Z26-
Oh, no, we just did that one.
I'm
That's
sorry.
only, yeah, you're good. That was just if it wasn't,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yep.
On the wrong page. Okay, consideration of MOU between the Manistee Police Department and Manistee Benzie Community Mental Health for a crisis intervention officer. The City of Manistee is requesting approval to enter into an MOU with the Manistee Benzie Community Mental Health for the Crisis Intervention Officer Initiative. At this time, council could take action to approve the Manistee City Police Department to enter into a MOU with the Manistee Benzie Mental Health for the Crisis Intervention Officer Initiative and authorize Chief Glass to sign the MOU. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
Chief, do you-
Go ahead.
I just wondered,
Oh.
Chief, were you going to share something, or?
I could give you some background if you'd like. So over the last several months, I've worked with Chip Johnson from Manistee Benzie Central Wellness regarding a model for rural Michigan areas that have limited resources, a crisis intervention model. And so he has this model that he's been working with in Benzie County over the last year and a half. And he's also working with Fair State University to analyze the data. And so he approached me, the city manager and the mayor, about this model. And he has agreed to fully reimburse the cost of a police officer to be a crisis intervention officer. Again, this MOU, I believe, is up to $185,000, which would include the 100% cost of an officer and potentially a vehicle. I would not be adding new staff with this. This is to reimburse us for a current officer. And so what we're trying to do here is we're trying to build a stronger bridge between law enforcement and our mental health services. What this officer will have is additional training, but access to CMH records. So when we deal with people on the road, we can see if they're currently receiving services through CMH and help connect law enforcement, patients, with mental health services. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to minimize or limit crisis events or people in crisis going to jail or sitting long stays at the hospital. So that's the intent and the vision behind this position. Again, he's working with Ferris State University to analyze this program for a rural model of crisis intervention. So that's the genesis behind it and the current model and what it means for us. Do you have any questions?
So anyone in the police department have the required degree training?
They do. I have an officer who's already signed up for it and interested in it.
Oh, wonderful.
So as soon as this is signed, if council agrees to it, we're going to design a programming, and this officer has already received the minimum training that CMH requires. I want to schedule the CMH side of training, which is more records access and things like that. So to answer your question, yes.
Okay, so when we put this gentleman into that position, is he still gonna be on regular patrol?
He is. So when he's not taking a mental health service call, it's his full function as a police officer. And so I looked at this and said, well, how much of this officer's time is going to be taken with mental health calls? And so looking at the Benzie County model, some weeks none, some weeks a lot, so it's hard to call. But this is a significant contribution by Central Wellness to work towards this model. I don't believe that this is the end-all be-all, but it's a huge step in the right direction towards coming up with something that's better than what's happening now.
So when he takes in, he's doing this position, now you have to call a man in, or when he's doing the mental health activities?
No. So if we have a mental health call and he's on duty, he would be the one responding. The large majority of what this requests, our officers already do. And so what we would like to do is if he's available when he's off duty for a transport or to sit at the hospital, that could potentially free up some resources instead of having officers sit multiple days at the hospital or have to transport when he's available. And they would cover the entire cost of that transport, gas, vehicle. and the
How many
social-
men are on duty at a time?
Well, on day shift, on average, probably 2 to 3, at night, 2.
Okay, so now you get a night call, and he's busy on his,
Correct.
so now what happens? You just have one.
They handle it just like they would any other call. And what this officer would do the next day, he would get that and make sure we documented it properly and look that patient up to make sure they get mental health services, rather than us filling out a referral form and just emailing it to the other end. So it's help
If
connecting.
he's handling this problem,
Well, he would still be handling it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's centralized for the police department for mental health services, so he can centralize, make sure that we're referring appropriately, making sure there's follow-up on the CMH side. Again, just strengthen the bridge between the two organizations.
what I'm looking at, what if you get a family fight? Now you got one man handling the problem, and now you got one man left on the road. If you have two men on evenings,
I don't really understand,
well, you got two men on,
correct?
okay, one man goes to handle the problem that you got with mental health. Now you got one man left by himself.
Well, this officer works day shift, so if it's an evening call, that wouldn't be an issue. But when we get calls, emergency calls for service that maximize our capacity, meaning that we don't have anyone available to cover, we have mutual aid agreements with the sheriff's office, the tribe. Fortunately, it's somewhat rare to utilize those, but we have those mutual aid agreements for that exact reason.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I couldn't understand initially what you said.
Chief, is there an example of an MOU? You mentioned, both of you, about sharing of information. Right now, a lot of the information that Central Wellness gets is HIPAA protected, so will there be some more communication and a greater handoff?
So, absolutely. So if you look at the MOU, some of that training under the CMH is training that he has to go through in order to have access to those records that are
Right.
protected by HIPAA. And talking to CMH, that's the biggest thing here, right, is we have an officer who is specially trained, works at the police department, but has access so that we know whether or not that patient is getting mental health services on the other end. They can verify they're a current patient, they're not a patient. Doesn't doesn't require any follow-up care for us, but allows us to have a stronger connection that we don't, what happens in the past is if we think someone is suffering from mental health, but we don't think they're in crisis under the Michigan Mental Health Code, so we don't feel that we can take them in protective custody, but clearly they're suffering from mental health issues, we fill out a referral and we email it to an email address. Currently, we don't get any feedback as to what, because of HIPAA, receipt taken, this is the steps, and this kind of bridges that gap.
That's what I wanted to pump.
Yeah.
Chief, I really appreciate you bringing this forward. We know that we're a small rural community, and to be able to collaborate and support families that are in crisis is hugely impactful. So thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan. Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski. Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of the adoption of the updated public participation plan. As a ready redevelopment community, the city must conduct an annual review or update engagement activities in alignment with the public participation plan. The Community Development Department and the Economic Development Director updated the plan. It has been recommended by the Planning Commission for City Council approval. The plan incorporates a variety of communication and outreach best practices. At this time, the mayor and council could take action to approve this updated public participation plan. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan. Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of awarding a contract for the marina pump-out improvements. A grant has been received and match money budgeted to replace the pump-out at the city marina. The project was publicly advertised with 2 bids being received. Zupin Crane, $35,700. Trident Construction, $36,462.44. At this time, council could take action to approve a contract in the amount of $35,700 with Zupin Crane LLC and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the document. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Does Jeff want to explain it a little bit or no?
I guess,
Yeah.
I get my question, the engineering, was that, the engineering fees, was that for like the original design plus oversight of the actual installation?
Yes, it's all of those. So they specified the pumping system, the connection. There's a little bit of modification to the dock that the current one sits on. So they prepared a bid package so that it was equal to all the interested parties. And then they will, just like all the projects, will assist us with the pay requests, any change orders, and all the documents that are required by the DNR grant.
Do you have any more questions? No?
Yeah. That was my question about whether the bid is applicable to all the grant requirements, so thank you.
It is. Last night we got an email from the DNR stating that they had reviewed the same packet that you have before you and had approved it and authorized us to award the contract, so.
Thank you. Good work.
Thank you. Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan. Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of authorizing America 250 grant agreement with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. The city of Manistee has been working with the Manistee County Tourism Authority on Journeys, a collaborative effort that will expand placemaking on the South River Walk. The America 250 grant was identified as a potential funding source at the request of the MCTA. The city served as its applicant. The city and the MCTA are working with several other partners and the MCTA to providing the required $15,000 match. At this time, council could take action to approve the America 250 grant agreement with the Department of Natural Resources and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the grant agreement, and approval will amend the city budget accordingly. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of a mooring agreement with Harbor Tours LLC. The Princess of Manistee, operated by Harbor Tours LLC, has requested a one-year mooring agreement with the City of Manistee. The agreement allows the vessel to dock along the Riverwalk and utilize the gangway to access the vessel. The seasonal rate is $6,110 in accordance with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources 2026 rates. At this time, council could take action to approve a mooring agreement with Harbor Tours LLC for the 2026 boating season. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Is that an increase from last year, Bill?
So we utilize the MDNR published rates for our area. It's a slight increase, less than $100 though.
And they agreed to buy the fuel from our city marina, correct?
Yeah.
That was in there.
Yeah, normally these seasonals are just standard agreements that we do every year. We have 10 seasonals, but because of the agreement with the Princess, because it's a commercial entity, because they've offered to purchase fuel and use the pump out and exchange, we allow them to put their gangway along the Riverwalk. That's why this one is a little bit unique and comes before council.
Anybody else have any questions? Thanks, Jeff. Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Rezga.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Now we will have a report from Ms. Molly Whetstone from the city assessor.
Good evening, council. It's hard to believe it's been a year. Hasn't really been a year, but we're ready for another report. The taxable value there this year, I'm sorry, my glasses aren't working good, they're new. $283,130,000, thank you. We've had an increase. The majority of that was in the residential class. The assessed value change, our overall for 26 is $432,493,950, and once again, the residential class outperformed itself. March Board of Review, we had 3 people come in and protest their assessment. We had 7 hardships, no veterans, and 1 personal property for 11 petitions. Taxable value by class, our residential is the largest at 78%, and the chart breaks it down. Assessed value by class, 81% in the residential, and commercial is at 15. Personal's at 3, and industrial's at 1. Thank you. We had a very uneventful Board of Review, which was very nice.
That's the quickest report we've ever had.
I try. I would like to introduce Rich. He works with us. He's a level 3 assessor, so we're training him up.
Welcome.
Thank you, council.
Do you have questions? Hey, Molly. Liz has got some questions
Got
for
a
you.
question. The increases like in the residences, is that from sales, new builds, or reassessing existing homes?
It's all going to be sales.
Okay,
Our market's still kind of crazy. There's some areas that went down this year, And the people were going, I went down. Well, yes, you did, because you were in this area, but the majority of them have gone up. Our condos, there's just no end to the prices going up on the condos, and we are looking at condos this year. So they will be getting the I love you postcards coming in the mail, so.
So does the town divide into how many districts and how often do you look at each one, or how does that work when you decide
We
to
try to
reassess?
cycle through every 5 years.
Okay, and kind of in a chronological order? I mean,
We
take a
started
different
with
one.
condos, so we're going back to condos.
Okay,
So, but it's built in ECF districts, which don't coincide with your
voting or,
districts that you're elected to.
okay.
I was
Thank you.
surprised to hear you say an area actually went down.
Yes, the sales indicated that that area, I had over-assessed it, so I did bring it down, yes.
Does that have some kind of other indications the city should be looking at?
No, it's just a little market. It could just be a blurb in that market.
Or it's an undesirable?
It's just could be a burp in that market, and
Okay.
it'll pop back up.
So then did you readjust the other homes in that?
Everything within that ECF district went down.
Okay.
I didn't cherry pick. Everything within the district went down,
Okay.
slightly.
Can I ask Ed, is this what we use when we're talking about our Headley rollback?
It's a complicated formula, but in general, if your sales are far outstripping construction of new value and construction, you're gonna be subject to a rollback. That's generally how it works, and the sales have been high, and that's what's driving it, so.
It's great.
I mean, it's great for the residential property owners, but
Yeah.
it rolls back how much we can levy. It's just the way the formula works.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll have a discussion on the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget.
Okay, so last budget, we had some questions we went through. I didn't receive any new questions. I would like to just kind of address, I know, some of the public comment. We did have an open position that happened to be in the fire department. We did review all the department's budgets. There was over 222,000 in cuts. The path to be prudent was to not fill that position, that open position, but we do have some progress made on our fire district. I fully acknowledge EMS and fire service is very important. I'd like to invite the chief up to just kind of talk about that progress with other municipalities and just kind of talk through where we're at. We have a kind of an updated budget, and I think the idea is to build capacity and to improve service.
Yeah, so my goal is for every fire that we have within our community, to get 8 firefighters responding to that immediately in a minute. I think that will make the biggest impact to make a sustainable organization for the future. All right, so the goal of that is working with other communities to raise up their funding levels to help hire people, to get enough people on duty to respond to these emergencies. So the idea is that I created the white paper to show the community a sample organization of what could work and what we could fund to get more people and more firefighters, EMTs, paramedics on the streets, publicly funded. So the white paper went out, and we used that white paper to go to other township boards and other communities, which we went to Onekama, Manistee Township, Filer Township, and Stronach Township. We presented this information to the boards. All boards passed unanimously a letter of support for investigating this and coming. They all designated 2 people of a peer, of a group that we're going to come, we're going to sit down, and we're going to figure this out. We are meeting regularly to put this organization together to get a better plan to present to the public, to explain to people. So we've had really good support. I think this is the way that to solve our problems in the future to come, and that working together with that.
We will have some public engagement sessions we'll be putting out, and yeah, we look forward to working through this issue with.
Yeah, we're finalizing a budget. We're bringing that to our group, and we're finalizing the plan, and it will be presented in the future soon. So we are diligently working on this.
I seem to recall in prior presentations that we've had the hospital increase their ambulance response as well over time. That's something you've been working on. Is that still correct?
I'm sorry, can you explain that?
A couple years ago, we had an issue as far as West Shore Hospital responding with their ambulances. They just didn't have enough. But a lot of that has been rectified, correct?
That's correct. So MMR, the
Yeah,
ambulance for the rest of the county, and that, yes, in prior years, they had shortages which called our ambulance out into the county more frequently than that and outside of our city. Since that, this past year, it actually reversed with that, and we actually asked them to come in and help us more than they helped.
Okay.
More than we helped them.
Okay.
Oh, it says here in 2017, this county EMS failed for the exact reasons. Was that, why did it fail? I mean, I remember this thing.
Yeah, I wasn't part of 2017 and why it failed or what failed about that. You know, I know what I'm working on and bringing together and working with the community on. As far as what failed back in 2017, I was not familiar with that. But what we are working on currently now, and that is we have everyone's input, everybody's coming to the table talking. Everybody realizes the shortages of firefighters in this area. We rely on the townships in the surrounding areas to bring firefighters in to help us. They rely on us to go out to them. The volunteer fire service has lost over a third of its members over the past 20 years. And call volumes have tripled over that, or doubled over that same amount of time. So the people that we're talking to, they're understanding that all of these departments are hurting and working together to fund more full-time firefighters that we all can use is the solution that I'm putting forward to meet our community's needs.
Okay, and I keep coming back to the same thing. How do you put union people getting paid to compare it to people who are volunteers, only get paid at a fire?
So with the full-time employees will all be part of the full-time or the organization. So we're creating a fire department with multiple stations that has 8 full-time employees on per day. Okay, and those 8 are spread out amongst the stations. Those are full-time employees, all part of the same organization. Then they have part-time combination volunteers that can come in. Those are not considered full-time employees, and they don't have the union benefits, and they're not contract. Those are more of a volunteer or paid per call position is what they're called.
And how do we pay these people?
The paid per call? It's in the budget. We have a budgeted line amount for paid per call employees.
And how much millage is it gonna cost everybody?
What we're doing is we're doing a funding formula with this, and with that funding formula, what we're working on now, it's a combination, the fire chief develops the budget, how much he needs to fund our fire department. That gets through a funding formula, and the percentages that each community pays is based on the population being part of the service and the amount of calls you make. So the organization with the city right now, with the biggest population and the most amount of calls, pays the most, and then it comes down from there from whatever the departments or whatever the organization's community or population size is and their call volume.
Well,
it's a funding formula.
In your deals here, you have where it's...
And I'd just like to mention the white paper was an initial concept. It's been modified since then, and we're kind of working through it with our steering committee, but the idea would be that the city would contribute. It's less than what was in that original white paper, and we are working with the different townships on their millage language to to meet that funding formula. So-
Yeah, the information in there in the budget, that was me introducing the concept. Now that we have the steering committee where everybody has two people inside, that's what they're redefining that. And then we have Mr. Bradford helping out with finalizing the budget and really fine tuning it, and that is changing, that is changing that. The concept is the same, but the actual budget is still being developed right now.
Okay.
Let me know if I'm getting this wrong. In my view, this whole concept, and we've seen this restructuring in its sharing of services in the Manistee Intermediate School District. For example, they share superintendent, they share a business office. It provides a better service, a more educated business office who can diversify into specific areas. So to me, it's like, kind of makes sense. None of the services the city of Manistee currently is receiving would be reduced. Instead, we would only see the gain because we would share things such as the cost of a new truck, potentially, that we would all use. And we may not, we'd actually might be able to spend more time in our community to provide services if there were 2 full-time people in these other entities.
Right.
Correct? Okay.
Yes, that's the idea, is we're creating a more
Yes.
redundant system throughout the area. We all respond to the exact same fire anyways, all right, but we're structuring it the same way and we're staffing it similar. So when we do get firefighters from other communities, we're getting the same thing that we're getting giving in return. Right now, it's different.
Right now, we've been talking about quantity of service. I guess I confess I'm a little concerned about the quality of service. I'm very proud that this department has ALS response, advanced life support service. And my understanding is that some of our partners may just be BLS. Is that correct?
So, yeah, each fire department has different qualifications and things that their firefighters have. Our fire department absolutely has the highest trained firefighters around. The paramedic it's the gold standard, all right? So we have the gold standard type firefighters. With combining this organization, that would be the same goal, to continue to hire and develop the same level of responder as what you have in your city currently, yes.
I think having ALS responders helps with their attracting candidates and then offering to help pay for their ALS certification helps us keep good candidates too. So the fact that that model would be expanded is really exciting.
Thank you. I agree.
Didn't, I read somewhere that we said when we start doing this that we'd reduce the EMTs, we didn't need so many. Why are we doing that?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Didn't you write, or somebody wrote in a report that I read, that we were talking about we don't need all the EMTs or other positions?
Yeah, all my reports in that is more staffing in that. So that's what I'm communicating, is developing a thing with more staff. I don't think I have anything out there that says reduce anything. I'm looking for more firefighters, a redundant system.
Because in here it says the resultant budget is very lean with little room for additional spending, so where's all this money? I mean, how much are we gonna, I read where we were gonna need a mill to increase the.
I know with our discussions here, they plan on paying for our contribution to the funding formula out of the general fund.
Seems like the general fund handles a lot. On here's charge for services, EMT transport, it goes from 2025 from 278,000 up to 310,000 in 2027. I mean, it seems like this is upholding itself. I know back when they took and they were going to cut the whole ambulance service out, and the people got on everybody's case, and that's why we kept it, because they said the ambulance was so close from West Shore that they could get in here. But I've seen people who have heart attacks and almost died if it wasn't for our city ambulance. And so I'm not that sold on this whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Our city ambulance is extremely valuable in that, and that's the goal of this organization, making more of them, you know, spread out throughout the participating municipalities.
You know, and
or
I think
townships.
you said that we have less fires. We've had less fires as the years have gone on with a better product probably. And so, you know, now we're putting in fire departments all over to handle fires when the EMTs are the more important.
Yeah. Well, it's dual role.
Right.
Okay, so they're doing both depending on what type of call comes in. So they have two very specific jobs to do depending on what type of an emergency it is.
Jim on this one?
That's for now. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion topics that council would like to go over?
No?
Yes.
Good, Jim?
Got anything? Anything?
Well, yeah, I'd like to, there was one thing I wanted.
I asked all my questions last week.
Yeah, that's that. I come back to that deal, Jeff, that you brought up about, I brought up, about having $787,000 in the Ready to Serve fund. And I asked why we can't give it back to the people, some of it back to the people, rather than putting everything into the piping and sewers and all that. I mean, these people paid this money in. A lot of them can't afford the way the prices are going up. And I think years ago, we did give a month or 2 months back to the people. Why we can't do it again with that kind of money? It's going up to 800 and some thousand next year. And we just keep adding the money to use it and change it out, and we never learn about this. So we're always sitting here until we find a budget that's got a lot of money in it.
A lot of our infrastructure is over 100 years old. And it requires upgrading, and so a lot of that money not just operates the water and sewer systems, but we also budget for the capital improvements. Within your budget, there's a 5-year plan on anticipated projects. If I had more money, I would be doing more projects. The needs out there are far out what we can afford to do each year. And if you remember, we've done 2 consecutive wage rate studies by professionals that have looked at what our needs are in capital, what our debt is, what our operational costs are, and have recommended the current rate structure so that we can afford to do those and meet our obligations.
I understand that. I look at this thing every day. You wouldn't believe it, right? Seeing all these problems. But, you know, I think when we get up to $800,000, I mean, you know, I know you like to put it in the piping with all that, but I mean, some of these people need some help too. You know, I mean, we gotta consider this, they're paying the bills. I mean, Molly's got taxes, I mean, she has to go up with them. Everybody's, you know, raising the rates on everything. Now, we said, well, we should be a council of assisting the citizens. Well, we aren't doing much but taking their money.
So we do have some undersized mains that we're addressing, so I think that in general, with the water enterprise fund, we're just trying to, we have capital projects that come up and we have to make sure that they're funded, and these projects aren't cheap, I guess.
I understand that. Here's my book with
It's exactly like the street network.
you know, that trying to study this thing.
Yeah, it's exactly like the street network. You could never give me enough money to pave enough roads to make everybody happy in the community. So we're trying to do the best we can with the money that's available. The water and sewer is the same way. Those are critical parts of this community, to have safe water, to be able to flush your toilet and know that that's going to be treated and safe and put back into our water. And it's very expensive to keep up with that. So that rate study has a 3.5 aggregate increase year after year. So it keeps up with inflation and allows us to do those capital projects, you know, while providing the services.
I understand. I mean, everybody's got to, you know, every city's got to raise money to pay their bills. But, you know, the people who are paying these bills, and it's really sad, you know.
As much as I would love to see the people get some of that money back, I was just noticing the road work, the sewer work just on 4th Street. What that cost is actually more than the 800,000 that we're talking about
Right.
sitting there. I mean, I would love to be able to give some money back and.
I think we all would.
Yeah, but I mean, really, we just.
Well,
what
sometimes you have
needs
to
be
take the bull by the
done-
horns and do
Yes, I know, but it just, how much this city needs. This is an old city and it's just,
Well, we're all old.
well, speak for yourself.
But I mean, you know, I had a guy approach me and say, you know, you promised this in your election. I didn't promise. I just said, I want to see these people, everybody on Medicare get some help.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I'm old. I need money.
no, you're out of it.
Mayor,
But I mean, you know, we got to do something here. I mean, I understand administration wants money, everybody wants money.
Do you have a question for Jeff?
I have one for Jeff.
Oh, go ahead.
Didn't we at one point, a few years back, give some of that marijuana tax money to offset the water? And I don't know if it's to offset the water, but to offset the water increase that,
After COVID, we held the rates flat, and it severely reduced our ability to complete capital projects, and we had to shift those projects back in time. Maybe you could directly.
We froze the rates for 1 year. It's been a few years back. But what that does is that negatively impacts the compounding. And it does, we had to push a few projects back because of that. So the one thing that the city's done, which is unlike a lot of communities, has done a very modest annual inflationary adjustment to water and sewer rates. A lot of communities hold them flat, then they'll increase them 20%. You can bet how popular that is, correct? So this way it's more affordable, and it's the path that we've done for the last over 10 years, and it seems to have worked very well. What I can do also is I can send you around the latest version of the Gosling-Subac rate study for Northwest Michigan, and you can see where the city's rates are, and we're in the middle of the pack. We're not off the map high by any stretch of the imagination. And I'll make sure to send that around to City Council to look at.
We are literally right at the median.
I know in the 5-year capital plan, there's a bond to do upgrades due to the US 31 improvements. How are those funded? Or will they be funded? Is it?
So we've estimated the cost of the project, and that's just so the public understands. That's to replace our water main from 9th Street all the way to Mason Street just before the bridge, and then our water main from Memorial Drive all the way out to basically Super 8, where the Super 8 is. We've got some issues. You've seen, like last winter, we had a main break. They're extremely expensive and difficult to repair when you're underneath a state highway. So we think this is a prudent thing to refresh that main, build it new. We don't have to worry about it for 50 years. But we've planned for this in our rate study, and so we knew this expense was coming up. In that rate study, it identifies those capital projects which predicts that we'll be able to do with cash, with the revenue that we're receiving, and then those projects that we'll have to borrow money for. So this is one of those projects where we're going to need to borrow money through a bond, and that's a revenue bond. So the consumption charges, the ready to serve, all those fees are already calculated to help pay off that debt.
Okay, that's what I kind of thought.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah, the normal rate increases will cover the debt service.
So in a sense, by planning ahead, you're not going to the taxpayers looking for.
No.
Right.
And we did a very similar thing on the sewer side. We had tens of millions of dollars of debt for the 3 or 4 first phases of the sewer separation project.
Right.
Well, when we took on the $25 million additional debt from rural development to fix the wastewater treatment plant, all those other bond issues had expired and fallen off, so we were able to service that debt. We didn't have to raise the rates higher than what the inflation was. So we try to plan that. I mean, that doesn't always work out that way, but that's the intent.
And what Ed referred to earlier, in my experience when I was working in the engineering field, is a lot of times communities would come up with a $5 million project or a treatment plant project that was $25 million. they had to be able to pay for that, so they would do like a 20% increase in their rates. And it was for that particular project. And then 3 years later, they had another big project and they'd raise the rates 10%. So what we were trying to do is project out, and when we did the rate study, we're projecting out projects for 10 to 20 years. So we're trying to look at what revenues, what money we're gonna need to be able to do those projects. And that's trying to give just that small incremental rate increase each year. And like Ed said, it compounds year after year. It affects you, but it's also funding those improvements.
Nobody wants to see a brand new US 31 ripped up because a 100-year-old water main breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody would have egg on their face. That's
Now's the time to do it.
Yeah, and just the flip side of that, on the sewer side, when we were doing all the preparation for the wet weather project, the expansion of the treatment plant, we lined a lot of the sewers under 31, so you're not gonna see a big need for a bond because we've already done proactively kind of armored those pipes, and we just have a few small repairs that we need to do as part of the project.
Mark, what happened with, I mean, we had those guys working in winter almost underneath in the sewers up on the highway back and forth. And
Right.
then they had to come back.
Right.
And was that a waste of time? Now we're gonna tear up those sewers again?
No, that's exactly what I just referred to. What we did is put liners in those
Yeah.
100-year-old pipes, and so we gave those pipelines another 100 years. What happened when you saw them working in the wintertime is they put the liner in, they use compressed steam to set the resins, and it is supposed to expand to make it fit to the inside of the existing pipe. There were parts where that liner drooped, and so what they had to do is go in and cut that out, and they had to put patches in. That's why it took so long.
No, we're not replacing all the pipes now, we're just replacing at the intersections, right?
We're doing just a couple spot repairs on the sanitary sewer. The water main will be replaced 100% underneath US 31.
So the sewer pipes that were lined are gonna be preserved, they're not gonna be replaced.
Those will all,
It's
those
the
will all
water
last,
main that's being
yeah, the sewer lines will outlast my life and probably my kid's life.
Okay. Can you talk about the tanks filling up? People are really concerned that, I mean, all these tanks overflowed and the lake had all the mess and.
Well, I just did my my radio interview this morning on that topic. So basically, when the treatment plant, the new additions to the treatment plant were designed, the engineers had studied how much water is getting into our sanitary sewers that are not attributed to sanitary sewer. So how much groundwater is coming in, how much water is coming in from footing drains on buildings. We put about 6 miles of lining within pipes so that we can make them watertight and reduce how much infiltration is coming in. And then we recognize that in order to get all of that illicit water out of the sewer system, we'd have to go back to most of the homeowners in the community and have them disconnect their footing drains, because that's where that was the code, that's the way it was built before. That's not the way it's allowed anymore. So what we chose to do was to create storage, and we built 3 2-million-gallon tanks. If you drive down 8th and Vine, you'll see the big blue tanks. Those are empty almost all the time. And in fact, in the almost 4 years since that went online, we have only filled the first tank nearly one time, or to the top. We've never had to fill the second tank, we've never had to fill the third tank. In the storms that we got a week and a half ago, there was so much water that came in, and it came in so fast. Saturday we filled tank 1, Sunday we filled tank 2, and at midnight we started filling tank 3. And by 6 in the morning on the 13th, tank 3 was to its capacity. The treatment plant was treating double what its normal daily load is. And that storm event exceeded what the design was for. So the state requirements required us to be able to handle a 4-inch storm event, 4 inches of rain in a 24-hour period during what they call the growing season. So that's when there's grass and the trees are growing and the ground can accept a lot of that water. When you're outside of that growing season, like we are now in early April, a lot of that ground is saturated. There's not a lot to absorb that water, so we get more runoff and we get more that ends up in the sanitary sewers. We had nearly 8 inches of rain over that total event. So the plan is also designed that when we're treating to capacity and when we've got storage and when our storage goes to capacity, then the sewage flows through the 3 tanks, and the 3rd tank chlorinates it and disinfects it, and then is discharged into Manistee Lake. And so that's actually been happening till earlier today.
The big distinction is any discharge gets some partial treatment now. It's not what it used to be. So even when we have an event like we had, there's still some treatment.
So there's 3 stages of treatment. One is settling out the solids. The second is the biological action, and then third is disinfection. So anything that we're discharging has the step 1 and the step 3, and that's permitted by the state of Michigan. And that's completely different than the old CSOs, the combined sewer overflows, where that was just a direct discharge into the lake and it didn't have any treatment at all.
Do we get a fine from the state on that?
Yep, we should not get a fine.
Okay.
Well, the plan is operating as it was designed. We did find some hiccups in the process that we had to work through because it's the first time the plan is operated at that maximum. But we're working with the engineers and the operators, and we think we've kind of worked out some of the kinks, but it's functioning.
How long does it take to reduce those? Like, you had the overflow and then the other 2 were full, and you said they're usually empty. How long will it take to get them back to empty in case we get more rain?
It's hard to know that, but literally today, 3 hours ago, I got an email that we stopped overflowing. So that means that what's coming into the plant has reduced. The plant is treating 2 million a day. So the backup in the system, which is designed for that storage, will slowly work its way down. And when we get it down to a level that we can now, basically when we get below 2 million gallons that we're treating, then we'll start draining out those tanks. If it stays nice like this, it may take a week.
Okay.
If we get more rain, it kind of sets us back a little bit. So.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
You have a question?
Okay. Bill, what I'd like to ask you now, are we taking that amphitheater out of our book because of that, the presentation they had last week, saying that they're covering it fully with the bathrooms and that?
So we have just years out. So really in the next year is really the plan. We have a capital improvement budget that really kind of just talks about potential upcoming needs, but it's not, those aren't set in stone. I think this next year budget is the plan with capital improvement, but then you'll see like years 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are things that can be changed around. So we don't have it in the next year's budget, so it's not on the docket to get done.
I mean, as long as they're taking full responsibility for it.
Yeah, that's what we'd like. That would be great.
Bathrooms, correct?
The bathrooms.
Not for the bathrooms, not for the bathrooms.
Oh, they said they were covering the bathrooms.
No, they said they wanted them built at the same time, but that the city would be responsible for
I'll go back to that.
Julia? Yeah.
I asked Mark.
Hold on,
first.
Jim.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead, Julia.
I'm so sorry. Ed, I'm just thoughtful about, especially after Molly's presentation, what is the likelihood that we're looking at another budget cycle after this without our Headley funds, which created this gap that we're looking at right now?
I would say it's more likely than not that we have a Headley rollback next year.
Really?
But if something happens with the economy and we get a start of a recession or the stock market really crashes, that negatively impacts sales. But I mean, we're already 4 months into the year and I don't think the sales have slowed down. So it may not be the same magnitude as prior years, but if I had to bet, I would say it's more likely than not that we have another Headley rollback.
How many communities consider a Headley override?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. They're more common downstate. I do know Benzie County was considering one at one point and got pretty far down that path, but then never followed through on that. So it's a little bit different, as I mentioned. The voted millages for the counties, they get voted in for a 3-4 year period, and then those come back. They call it a renewal, but it's also a renewal and a reset. It doesn't just renew the millage at the rolled back level, it puts it back to what it was. So they just do those periodically. Cities don't typically do that. They have the ability to do that. They could go back for a Headley renewal or whatever you want to call it, or rollback, every 5 years if that was something that the council chose to do. But typically that's not done. It's only done when they get into a mode where it's like, we have a compelling case that we need to restore some of that lost taxing power, because really that's what it is. The charter says you can levy 20 mills. Subsequent state law and state constitution changes have put a formula in place that lowers that, but it does give you a mechanism to put it back up if that's what the community wants to do.
Was a rollback like 220,000? Did I read that correctly?
If it was fully restored, it'd be about 320,000. But that's, I want to make sure I get that number right. Yeah, roughly that, so.
220 or 320?
No, it's more, no, that's not the right number. It's, a mill is, I'll have to get the right number. It'd be, a full rollback would be probably 700,000.
I mean, what did it cost our city? Was it 200?
The rollbacks in the last 5 years have cost us 320,000.
Okay.
A full rollback would restore $750,000, $800,000.
But this year it was about 50,000.
50,000.
And then we lost 30,000 in state shared revenue. We had about 117,000 in increased MERS obligation. That was kind of the big, expenditure and loss of revenue.
Well, those are the types of funds that are not categorized for building or grants. It's the kind of things that allow city council to hire or not hire. And that information seems to be, contingent upon factors we have no control over, like the rate of inflation and everything else. So you're thinking it's going to be around for Manistee for a little?
I would say next year. Beyond that, I wouldn't say, because we don't know what mortgage rates are going to do. I mean, the real estate market's been very robust for several years, as if you talk to anybody in the real estate industry, they can attest to. And you look at what the assessed value for the county has done over the past 5 years, it's gone up tremendously. And that's just a reflection on the market. The undiscovered coast between Ludington and Frankfurt isn't the undiscovered coast anymore. It's been discovered.
Oh, I ain't mad. I love all the new homes available. Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Good job. Okay, citizen comments. It's an opportunity for citizens in attendance to comment on municipal services, activities, or areas of city involvement, limited to 5 minutes. Letters submitted to council will not be publicly read. Anybody?
John Helge, 450 Cedar Street. I'm also the chair of the tree commission, as you guys are probably well aware. I just want to invite you all to join us on Friday, the 24th at 5 p.m. We're going to have an Arbor Day celebration because we are a Tree City, USA, and Friday is Arbor Day. That celebration will be at the roundabout on First Street, down by the beach, down by the Rocket Park. And we'd love to have you join us. It'll be a great photo opportunity for you. And let's come and celebrate the great work that's going on in preserving and improving the urban forest management plan for Manistee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Anybody else? Go ahead, sir. You.
Dave Milkey, 273 6th Avenue. I wanted to reemphasize what I said at the last meeting about enforcement. And if there's some action, I went by the senior center, the sign is still up. And if there's some action or reply from the people over there, I'd like to see not just the covering of the sign, but the whole structure removed. They could do better over there. They could put in for another permit for a sign like they have at the movie theater, coming events, so it's visible from the parking lot that's usually underwater. over there. And I think, that's my main thing there, so. Also, there was a item in the last meeting here on selling city property for $80,000, and it was never explained. I checked on the app, and Mr. Canuti, a real estate agent, has got his sign up there on that property. It's on the bank side. I don't know if he owns that property, but it would assume that the city doesn't own it if he's putting up a sign there. So I'd like some explanation there. You can get a hold of me if something comes up on this enforcement issue. The other thing I'd like to kind of hear from the city clerk is how much it's going to cost for this special election. It's very, very confusing, and I don't know what the rush was to get this thing on the community college before the regular election, but I know each little government unit's got to hire people overtime or whatever to get that millage. And there was no explanation in there what the capital improvement is at the West Shore College. They're also funded otherwise besides millage on like 3 different counties: Lake County, Oceana, Manistee, and I think some parts of Wexford County. So if you can give me a little information on that, I'd like to see what the big rush was to get this special election. Just email, or you've got my stuff, and if there's any reply from the senior center, apparently they don't know what the covenants are on the deed over there. If you look at the deed for that property, there's a lot of covenants because it was the Catholic Church. And if they sell any of their property, they have to give 50% back to the diocese. So that's another issue for later. Restrooms on River Street, I had an issue. A friend of mine said he was down there shopping. The restrooms are locked up. He went into one of the businesses to ask, and said no, they lock it up because of the homeless people. So that's another issue that's got to be resolved someplace. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Lori Thale, CEO of Mobile Medical Response. How you doing? So last night I got my hands on the white paper and I took a look at it. And I would just like to ask that if there's going to be additional discussion, that maybe MMR could be at the table for that. We'd appreciate just having our voice heard. As you know, we're the 911 provider for the majority of Manistee County, and we need to be sustainable. So that means maintaining our 911 and doing our non-emergency work, doing both. So if we could just be a part of those discussions some way, somehow, make sure that everybody's fully educated as to how the EMS system works, we would really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Me again. I'd like to go over a few things with the white paper. You all know I've already sent you an email with some of my concerns and also an audit of that white paper. One of the things I need to bring up is personnel costs. There's a listing of 25 personnel to man these stations. The stations are to be manned with 3 men, 2 men, 2 men. If we look at the replacement cost for people due to injury, illness, vacation, holiday. I don't see that included. I'm assuming out of the 25, we have the fire marshal, the fire chief and the assistant chief and the fire marshal included. I don't see any money for the paramedic program, the community paramedic program. I don't see anything for the community social service integration with paramedics and nurses. I don't see any funding for that. Some of the apparatus optimizations are not realistic. Reducing apparatus from one community creates a situation where needed sources for further are farther from the next incident. Okay, so if we take away from Winneckama, put it in Manistee Township, now we got to go all the way back to Winneckama to provide them service. 80% of EMS in the county is provided at no cost to the residents by a professional, highly trained organization, MMR. One of the questions I have, if you decide to put this plan in place, you're going to take 50% of their call volume away. Are they going to stick around for the rest of the county? Who's going to provide EMS if they can't financially survive this plan? Basically what this white paper comes down to is the city needs the townships to step up and assist with fire and EMS provision. Don't argue with that a bit. One of the questions I have is, where is Station 1 in the plan? Is that the city fire station? If it is, then what you're asking is for the townships to help fund the city fire department. I also want to give you a quick, broad overview of what fire safety is. Individual structure fires, that's the responsibility of each individual property owner. The fire department can't stop your house from catching fire. Only you can stop your house from catching fire. The fire service is there to protect your neighbor's house after your house catches on fire, to keep their house from catching on fire. Then the fire service will come and put your fire out. Just want that to be a basic understanding. The fire service is there to protect your neighbors from your lack of due diligence, which caused your property to ignite. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Schreier, 183 Joslin Cove Drive, right here in Manistee. I just had a quick comment on things I heard. I'm relatively new in this community, and something I didn't understand when I heard the discussion about using the police services to be a trained psychiatric emergency service. What all I could do is wonder, because I spent 45 years in that field, and we had our trained mental health professionals do on-call. So when a psychiatric emergency was necessary, that on-call person would join the police department and go out and deal with that situation. That's one thing. The other thing was the transport service. When you have an ambulance that's taken out of service because you have to transport someone that could be transported, we saw that as a real downfall in our services in where I came from in Northern California. So we put together something called the bus service, called Bay Area Bus Service at the time. And that was just a transport service. So we didn't take an ambulance out of service. We had a van that would transport people. It was much less expensive. And you're going a very expensive route to take an ambulance out of service at, perhaps, I don't know, $1,000 an hour or something, when you could be spending half that with just a bus service to transport your patients. That's after they've been dealt with in the emergency room here and stabilized, so they're set for transport. And why Central Wellness isn't offering their trained mental health professionals to do an on-call is something that just baffles me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Gamble?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Ms. Rosca?
I guess I haven't received anything on that policy that states all money from the city land sales goes to roads.
Mr. Grabowski?
Okay, people, Jeff, people are asking with the guys going around and cutting their limbs. And they go by sometimes 6 times. I think I brought this up a year ago or 2 years ago. And the guys ride by, and I mean, I know you want them to call in, but they're riding right by the piles of junk on the road. Why can't they pick that up?
We're talking about brush?
Yeah,
They should be. I'll look into it.
because the people just called me yesterday and said, you know, we watched our piles sit there for 2 days till they came back. So,
They should be. I'll look into it.
good, because I know we discussed that, so.
And it was also, after they chip, there's still kind of a mess in the road.
Oh, yeah.
So, it was your taxpayers are upset because they're watching people go back and forth, and then they kind of get left with a mess in the road. So,
Could they get
Every time I've seen them, with that chipping stuff up, they'll rake it and shovel it.
yeah, I've seen them too. They do a good job.
Yeah.
that's just the notice I got.
Thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Ms. Raddatz?
No updates. I just want to, again, thank you, Ed, for working on such a comprehensive budget.
Ms. Lasky?
Just one, and we don't talk about it, but the short-term rentals, how we're doing on the registrations and how many do we have?
I think we're at 130 total between, and I can send out.
You just want to email, so you're not guessing.
Okay.
Send your email.
Yeah.
Like 130.
Yeah, because we're still using that Granicus report kind of too. Do we still use that, or is that something we could?
So it takes a long time to go through and compare them, so I did that once. And then as new ones show up, Granicus will say how many new ones, but we haven't had any new ones that
Do we still need it, do you think? Do we, we're talking about budgeting, is that something that we still need?
I think annually, we would have to see. But a one big report for this year, and then as the summer season comes up, I'm sure we'd see more show up.
I would say yes, as of now, we do need it. The short-term rental program, as good intended as it's an enormous amount of work, and it's still trickling in. It's going to take some time for everybody to realize that they transferred from one to the next. We literally are doing 5 a day sometimes still. And I don't feel it's a lack of not wanting to comply. I think it's a lack of, people just don't pay attention to the Facebook, the newspaper, whatever, the notices we're sending out.
We are sending out notices.
Yes.
Address, okay.
Yeah, physically sending them letters. We're putting a lot of effort and time into this. And still, today I did one. I'm so sorry, I didn't know I wasn't in compliance. I got a certificate that's valid. So the Granicus keeps us up to date on what's advertising. We got to get the information there. Got to convert that from the long-term, short-term combination we started with, and we'll get it. I don't get the feeling that anybody's not registering because they're just trying to dodge it.
No.
But there's a lot of administrative work, and Maddie's doing a good job keeping track of it. So
Good.
I think at this point, if you want this to be successful, we got to have the tools to keep us on track.
Thank you.
Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Hold on. Okay.
I'd like one more minute. I just want to say thank you to everybody that gave us some input on all of the things on the agenda tonight, most importantly, the budget. We appreciate hearing your views. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.